Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi says his country will not surrender despite demands from President Donald Trump. Speaking to US media, Araghchi said Iran will keep fighting.
This is what he asked previous time, last year in June, that when Israel started to attack us, President Trump used the same phrase, unconditional surrender. That was a tweet he made. And that didn't happen. We resisted, and after 12 days, Israelis asked for unconditional ceasefire. So we never give up, we never surrender, and we continue to resist as long as it takes. We continue to defend ourselves, and we are defending our territory, our people, and our dignity. And our dignity is not for sale.
President Donald Trump is threatening to expand the U.S. operation on Iran. He spoke to reporters earlier on board Air Force One.
We've accomplished more in 1 week than anyone thought possible. We've wiped out their Navy, 44 ships. We've wiped out their Air Force, every plane. We've wiped out most of their missiles. You see, the missiles aren't coming much anymore. We've also hit their manufacturing areas where they make the missiles very hard. Their drone capacity is way down, and we've hurt them where it hurts, including about every form of leadership you can have. We've wiped out.
You still expect up to 6 weeks total?
I don't know. I never reject that, whatever it takes. But the military is almost non-existent, if you look. We could hit the military itself very hard, but maybe we will, maybe we won't. We haven't made that determination.
Let's bring in our chief U.S. correspondent, Alan Fisher, who's at the White House. So President Trump there saying that he wants to expand the operation. He says he won't talk about sending in troops, Alan, but is it being considered?
It is, because we know from our own sources that leave has been cancelled, training has been stepped up, and they're making plans to move soldiers into the region if requested by the president. Now, he says he's not ruling anything out, but it's not something that he desperately wants to leap into. All analysts that we speak to say that if you're going to launch a ground war in Iran, you would need somewhere in the region of 500,000 troops. We would see a build-up, a significant build-up, much more than we've seen if that were to happen. They have troops in the area, but they would need a lot more. But obviously, the United States would have to plan for that, just in case the president announced that he wanted to move into Iran. But it's not something that anyone here in Washington is keen on. If you look at the opinion polls, Donald Trump's war in Iran has 30% approval. That's pretty low, even by Washington standards. Now, if you add into the fact that there would be a ground war, that number goes down significantly. So it may be something that is on the table, but not something that most people in Washington, and certainly not the president, would jump into lightly.
It is now day 9. We're entering the second week of this war, Alan. The Americans say it's going better than expected. Does that mean that the 4 to 6 week timescale that President Trump initially mentioned is being reconsidered?
Well, he mentioned 4 to 6 weeks, but didn't lay out what the achievement would be. Now, of course, on Friday, he said unconditional surrender of Iran. That was later clarified by his press secretary, saying that would either mean Iran saying, yes, we unconditionally surrender, or they're not in a position to fight back anymore. Now, Donald Trump believes that they're ahead of schedule over the first week, that they've managed to destroy the Navy, as you heard, the Air Force, they have air superiority over Iran. That much is clear. They say they've managed to diminish what Iran can do to strike back by hitting their ballistic missile program, by also hitting their drone program too. But 4 to 6 weeks, that's kind of open-ended. One, because it means they continue operating at this sort of level, but they will at one point run out of targets. And two, whether or not they have enough munitions. Now, Donald Trump says we've got more than enough to carry out the war, but we know they're still moving more men and material into the region. And also they had the arms manufacturers here at the White House on Friday, and they promised to quadruple their output in the coming weeks and months. That suggests that perhaps they're not as well equipped as they would like to be. So 4 to 6 weeks remains the target, remains what Donald Trump has said, but he needs to lay out what the clear goal is of that period. And certainly the longer it goes on, the less support he has both here and on Capitol Hill.
Alan Fisher, our chief US correspondent at the White House there.